Yeah, let's move on.
Yeah. Sharks 10 played the Raiders 12. 2 tries apiece. 0 out of 2 conversions for the Sharks and 2 out of 2 for the Raiders. 1 out of 2 penalty shots for the Sharks. 63% completion for Cronulla, 76% completion for the Raiders. 27 out of 43 sets, played 31 out of 41. 1 line break to 6, 20 tackle busts to 49, 7 offloads to 5. Both teams forced 3 dropouts, 330 tackles played, 331. 2 ruck infringements apiece, 2 penalties conceded by the Sharks, 5 by the Raiders. 18 errors for Cronulla and 13 for Canberra. Brayley made 46 tackles, Hodgson with 41, Kennedy with 172 metres and Rapana with 163 metres. Hudson Young with 75 Supercoach points, Williams with 65 and Kennedy with 65.
I really enjoyed this game. I thought it was a pretty game of footy. The obvious is Sharks should have won. Townsend missed 2 pretty simple kicks. Didn't deserve to win. But to me, Canberra fell off a cliff about the 65-minute mark. They just disappeared.
Canberra should have been winning by 30 at half time.
And Gump and I talked about this before. You got here, Bum. But
Sharks were that bad in the
Canberra
first half.
are so rigid. It's actually to their own detriment in not playing outside their game.
Yeah.
They should have been up 20-0 half time.
Yeah,
They should have been up 20-0, but they don't, and they play how they play. And if that's going to get them through a season...
I'm sure they will at times. Obviously, generally, you see the better teams, they do stick pretty strong to their structure for the first 4 to 6 weeks of every season, and they just go through the motions and then build off the back of that.
But they play the death by 1,000 cuts, as I keep saying, where they just go the short pass, we'll find somewhere.
Middle edge.
And Hudson Young, absolutely outstanding. Maybe the second row of the comp so far.
Good.
The rest of the forwards are really good. Ryan Sutton, great again. Ryan James was tremendous. And I want to mention again, both Arrow and James were great. But James he hurt
Super
people.
impressive, man.
Defensively, he hurt people. In attack, he is knocking down a door to start for them.
Well, we both mentioned it. Before he got injured, obviously he spent 2.5 years on the sidelines with different injuries, but he was one of the best props running around.
He was in Origin, he was 18th man for Origin. He was actually selected,
I think in the Australian squad at one point as well.
Got injured.
Yes, I thought but when he came on, he actually straightened him back up because they were going a little bit
And he looks like he's got a little bit of fitness left in him too. So
so he's been tremendous. So the massive ticks for their forwards. But maybe some creativity. At the end of the day, I thought they'd control the game easily. They should have been 24-0. 24-0 half time. It wasn't, and then they fell off a cliff. They got away with it.
Sharks dragged them down into that style that the Sharks like to do. They fucking get all the niggle and the bullshit in the ruck and slow the ruck down as much as they can. As I said, the Sharks were horrible for that first half an hour. They just dropped everything that went to them.
It was a miracle they went down.
They look good in patches with the ball in hand. Their attack in the middle again it's just too. Their defence in the middle is just too soft. They let teams march up the field through the middle. The only reason they weren't behind by 30 was because their goal line and their scramble D was decent in that first half. It's the only thing that kept them in the game.
Yeah.
They stopped dropping the ball so much in the second half and got themselves back in the game, and probably should have won a game that they never had any right to be in. And Canberra really should have been. I thought they should have been a lot better. They should have just put us away.
Yeah, which is, I know, concerning, but you have your wet days and you get through a game.
Yeah. The Sharks look good at times with ball in hand, but their middle defence.
Where do you legit put Cronulla in that performance?
I tipped them to run about 10th at the start of the year, and
probably right.
I think they're going to run in and around that sort of 8 to 12, depending on how well they click and how bad
you throw Sean Johnson into that game, you probably win the game.
As I said, they need to win half their games before Johnson comes back, and depends how many of those games they win before Johnson comes back.
Yeah, that's the key for them.
Yeah. Gumpy, anything to add?
Oh, look, I enjoyed the game.
Effort was awesome.
I enjoyed the game. Both teams went hard, and the conditions then were even worse. That was the last game on Sunday, so it was really wet. There was Cronulla were working really hard in the middle. I know their defence is a little bit off, but I quite like their Toby Rudolphs and a few of those blokes in the Cronulla team.
Talakai and Royce Hunt to come back too, which will strengthen up that middle.
And I kind of agree with Daggy that Canberra go for the death by 1,000 cuts, but I don't know that they've got the X factor to score the points like a Penrith.
You know who's not
Penrith
there? Now Hodgson's back. You know who was the X for last year? Was Starling.
Yeah.
And he's not there. And he would have that dart, which Hodgson's quite happy to be part of the machine. Where Starling would do a little dart and add
they've
something.
got Whiten who does it, but he's playing 6, so he's not getting a whole lot of free rein to
And he's been pretty
sort of
quiet this
run the ball.
first
He's been
2 rounds.
quiet, and I know that we were talking before we got on air, Daggy, and I sort of look at attack, and I don't know at this point how many points they've got in them in games, and how many players in the Canberra team would you say, off the top of your head now, would score, do you think will score 10 tries this year? Like, off the top of your head, whereas if you go
It's
through
going to
the
probably
top...
be Tapani and Young, just on the edges.
Say
I'd say
they're
that's the
4,000.
first thing I said, yeah.
Yeah, but if you go through the other 5...
And maybe
good
Rapana,
teams,
and White
you
will
can-
score 3 against the shitty
Well, I'd like
team.
to-
You can go through 4 or 5 players from the other teams that are going to... Well, BMOS has already scored 6 and Tedesco's already scored 5.
yeah.
So there's 2 players that are going to get 10 for them.
Well, with the
Plus-
halves for the Raiders, I'd like to see them go the opposite way to what they're going. I'd like to see Williams start running to the line a little bit more and playing at the line, and I'd like to see Whiten pull back a little bit and actually start playing the longer ball, because they're not getting the ball to the outside edges because Whiten's running, and on the other side, Williams is playing the ball too early, so the defence is shutting down that right-hand side,
And I don't
the
know-
left-hand side's not getting the ball.
I would
So-
argue Rapana's in as good a form as he ever has been, but he's not getting... He all his work is work or pop-out balls. He's not
late,
actually
yeah.
getting
He's
early
getting late ball.
line ball, yeah.
Because Whiten's taking the ball to the line, whereas I'd like to see them two switch it up.
I like Chance, but I don't know that he's the ball-playing fullback
No, he's
that
not.
Canberra might need.
I will forgive him this game because he's on one leg. I felt like he was on one leg
look,
for a lot of it. But I know he's
like him as a
100%.
player,
100%.
but I don't know that he's got that good passing in
I
that
don't
your
put-
top
I don't
notch
put-
fullbacks have got.
I don't put a lot of stock in, say, Supercoach Vegas in judging a player, but I think in terms of fullbacks it does because they are well exposed. They're going to do what they do, and there's a reason he's 450.
Generally based on
and
attacking
AJ
stuff. Yeah.
and Ponga and whoever else are all 550
Well, that's
plus.
right.
I think that's...
You'd put there'd be
So you're taking out
8
2
or 9
try assists, you're
fullbacks that you'd
taking
put
out...
ahead of him.
Yeah.
When do you see Chance throw a cutout ball and hit the winger for
he
the
doesn't.
winger to score?
But again, it's not his job because they don't play that style. Because they play...
They're not hitting the
that
wingers at
flat-
all at the moment.
But are
that-
they not?
100%. Yeah.
But is that not their style because they don't have players that have got the ability to do it?
Well,
Or
last
is
year
that
they
just
didn't
the way
because
they
they
White
lost.
can do it, but he's running the ball. He's taking it too far into the line.
Because
He
of all the
needs to
injuries,
throw
they
the ball a bit
changed to
earlier.
this style and they've stuck solid. They worked for him. It arguably should have got them to a grand final.
They'll change it up at points during the year. It'll be interesting to see how they evolve. But
Oh, look,
And
that
Ricky,
there-
and of all coaches, Ricky does evolve.
I think Ollie's busting to
He
talk
is.
because I
Go,
know he
sorry,
loves,
go,
he loves
go.
the Raiders this year. So
Go.
Well, look, I think what I said to you guys is what I'm going to echo here. I need to see how they go and how they adapt against another competition heavyweight before I consider not tipping them to win the premiership. Like, if they can rise to the occasion, which I think they can against one of the better teams, put in a good performance, even if they still play to that style. Because Canberra, whilst you're talking about them in attack, they are arguably the best defensive team in the competition.
oh, they've got
and
attitude.
that's where they make
They've
up
got
for it.
massive attitude.
So I just need to see how they go against one of the better teams in the comp. And look, just to touch on Cronulla, all I'm going to say is to all the people who had them finishing in the bottom 4, it's terrible. Like, how could they be favourites to finish in the bottom 4 at the start of the year when they put on a performance like that? We're going to get to it, but they'll give Parramatta a scare, I reckon. Like, they're just going to be that team. They're going to be that team that comes close to... They're not necessarily going to do it, but they'll
There'll be
come
games they fall
close to
apart,
beating
but
the
generally
better
they're going to put
teams.
the effort in.
Is that testament to Morris?
I think it's something that
It's
they've
a part
had
of their culture.
since probably 2014, when just before when they were building towards that competition, where it was all built on guts and effort. Generally, they didn't care if they won by a point
I think
or
they're playing for
whatever
the coach.
it is. You know.
Like,
Yeah, I think they are
the
too.
players are coming out saying, "Well, we're happy for him to be our coach."
I think he
They're
deserves to
having
be.
a-
I've got no...
Well, so do
I know that it's probably a lay down in his air that their board wants Flanagan back, but I
The
think
goal
I think he
line,
deserves
goal line and
all
scramble
credit.
D will tell you more about most sides than anything else.
Their attitude's fine. Again, they're one of those teams that their roster's just not quite as good as some of
They're
the
gonna
other
fight
teams.
over a bone,
but
but
their
yeah.
effort is as good as any team in the comp. Their effort.